Hi all. So I'm back again with another interview. Not interview, sorry. Always interview. It's not there. So basically, I'm back again with my another video, and I'm today continuing my same Spring Boot series. And basically, in my last video, if you have watched it, so I have covered like how you can create your simple Spring Boot application, and you can create your first Get API. But in this video, I will be today covering the post API or the creation of a new resource, how you can create it basically. So for creating that, below are the few steps you need to take care of it. We need to implement a database connection, how you can connect your database directly. You cannot connect by adding the dependency. So how you can connect the database, like a stood database we have added for the embedded database side. And apart from this, for implementing or for adding the our code to database or interacting our code to database, we are having the JPA. Like JPA stands for Java Persistence API, and it is a basically you can say that it acts as a bridge between our code and the database. So how it interacts with the database. And then another thing is that there are some DTO or POJO, if you have heard of it. Directly we cannot interact if we directly we interact with the help of the entity is a class which interact with the database, or which creates a table for that particular code. And but directly you cannot work on entity side, so we need to convert our entity to DTO or POJO, and then we can need to return the response as a DTO or POJO. So that's it is a good coding practice or clean code practice. We need to follow it, so that I will be following it. And so let's get started. And today, as I mentioned, we will be following or creating the post API, creation of the resource. In CRUD, we are C stands for creation of the resource, so that today we are continuing with that. So in my last video, if you have followed, we have created one CRUD operation controller and simple get API we have created and returning some message. But today we will be following with another one. Let's just a minute. Yeah, so basically in my last video I've created get API, so now we will create the post API. But this CRUD operation controller doesn't sound good, so let me refactor this. Refactor, rename it, and instead of CRUD operations controller, what we can give we will be creating one employee application. So for creating an employee application, simple application I'm creating it, so employee controller I've given its name. Okay, and why it is not reflecting? Okay, it is giving some error. Okay, now we have created controller. We will create firstly some packages one by one. First package we required from controller, it goes to the service layer. Okay, then from service layer it goes to the repository layer for interacting with the database. Let me create one repository. Okay, then directly we cannot return the entity response, so for that what we'll be creating it, we'll be creating the DTO packages for that. Okay, then we have the DTO. Now we want the entity which interact with the database directly, so for that again we need one package, that is entity. Okay, DTO is there, entity is there, repository is there, service is there. Now what else we required? We required for conversion, we require some, like from DTO to entity or DTO to entity DTO, how we can convert. There is a utils package we are creating it for converting it. Okay, and that is done. Now next step is that, let me give the server port, server.port. This is the way we can change our server port. Existing one is 8080, so I am giving 9093. Okay, then what we will be doing, we will be adding some some properties of how we can interact with that database. So for that we are having that spring.data source.username is there, and similarly password, URL, database URL is there, some properties are there. So to time save, I will just copy these properties. Will explain you one by one. Okay, So basically what this property is doing it, we are having the driver class name of h2 database org.h2.driver, first property. Then second property is that URL of the database you will be giving it. So we have given this jdbc h2 mem test db is the URL. Then username we have given sa. By default it is also sa, but we have kept the same, but password we have changed to test. Then we are having the spring.jpa.ddl auto update. So there are two things, one is create, one is update. So update is that every time you are doing in any operation or its server is getting started, so it will update that particular database. In the case of create, it will create the table or the structure from initially point. So that is that thing, but we have kept the update. But this property will not much reflect in S2 database, as every time you will be starting the server, so all S2 database memory will be cleaned up. It is a memory in memory database, but it works properly in MySQL or relational or non relation databases. So this property, and this is a Spring h2 dot console dot enable true, means your h2 console will be enabled on the browser. Then we have the spring dot jpa dot so sql true, means you will be able to see all the queries in your which will be firing, or which will be if you are inserting into table, so it will fire that query. Okay, now let me start creating one by one all the classes. We have established the connection. So for that we'll be in service class, we'll be creating employee service. Something, need to create the class, what it has been created. New Java class. I am keeping or making this videos as a short of 10 minutes only. So just like if it is a lengthy video, so it will be for you also, you will be not able to watch it as a single time. So that's why I've make these videos as 10 minutes only. And for repository, it should be interface. So we will keep it as an interface, employee repository, and it will extends JPA repository. JPA and CRUD, there are two types of repository. We are extending the JPA repository because it is having some more certain methods like sorting and everything is available. And here we need to give that entity class and its ID. So entity class is our employee. Let me create first that @entity to mark it that it is an entity. @table is annotation is there, as we have kept an employee, but still for just for your knowledge, I am again keeping the same name. @table name, we can change the table name also using @table. Then we are having private long id, private string name. Then we will mark this as primary key, so @id is present. Then what we will be doing it, we will be adding first thing constructor. No argument constructor is required, as we will be creating object, so it will be required there. Then what we will be doing it, we will be needing parameterized constructor, that also we will be adding it. Then we will be needing getter and setters. Okay, now what we will be doing it, we have created entity class, so we will be passing employee, and as we have kept the primary key as long data type, so we will be passing the data type as long. Done. And we will be marking this as @repository, so compiler will know that this particular class is the repository class. And entity class is done. Now DTO, employee DTO will be creating it, and same fields which are there in entity class, we will be using the same fields just for conversion or for practicing the clean code practice. We are following this. So just for time saving, we will be copying this